Hi Sagittarius, Sagittarius rising and Sagittarius moon. This is your August 2016 forecast. The sun has been in Leo in your 9th house since the 22nd of July, and it will stay there until the 23rd of August when it moves into your 10th house. This makes the main theme of the month, the first 3 weeks, 9th house affairs. The 9th house is a quintessential Sagittarius house. It has to do with travel, study, learning, the law, religion. It's how we expand the mind and take our life from the mundane and down avenues which are going to broaden our understanding, experience, and expand our ideals and optimism for life. So, a good month for specialist studies and for travel and adventure and any kind of sensual or practical experience, like I said, which will broaden the mind. So, a good month for Sagittarians like so, because you'll really be feeling in your element. Let's look at the new and the full moon this month quickly before we get started with the aspects this month. The new moon is in the 9th house, underlining that theme for expanding the mind, travel, adventure, learning. And it has trines to Saturn. The moon and the sun have trines to Saturn. So this can show that you're able to make practical plans around these areas. So discipline, diligent effort, buckling down, attending to the details, you'll be able to apply this style of focus in terms of making travel plans or plans to educate yourself. Like I said, it might be a good time to embark on a specialist course of study. So you'll have the necessary staying power and the ability to deal with the details that such an undertaking involves. So do your duties in that respect and attend to paperwork, responsibilities. You may find some assistance from elders and peers in this regard. The full moon will be in the 3rd house, and the 3rd house of course relates to routine, day-to-day routine, that is. You know, the things that we have to do, you know, in the daily round. So, you know, the focus is really going to be between the 9th and the 3rd house in terms of day-to-day reality and routine and things that broaden our experience and take us out of the mundane, and a balance between those two. Because of course there are always things that we need to attend to and matters that we can't let slip, which Sagittarius can tend to do because it's always looking at the big picture. So find a balance between tending to mundane chores, routine, paperwork, you know, phone calls, letters, and all our duties and responsibilities, and somehow integrate the big picture. You know, what are our big plans and dreams, and what do we really want to achieve? What are the things that give our lives meaning and value? With the full moon, there's a sextile to Uranus from the moon and a trine from the sun to Uranus in the 5th house. This shows like an inventive take or an original take and creativity injected into the daily round. So we might think of ways to bring creativity or our passion projects into our day-to-day life and communication. So there'll be a bit of an epiphany in that respect, a new take on that routine and ways to make it more interesting and stimulating, which is also something that Sagittarius excels at. I did want to touch briefly on the Saturn square Neptune configuration in the sky, which has been in effect since November 2015. The final time this aspect will be perfect is on the 10th of September, so we'll continue to feel its effects throughout September still. So this has been a long-standing aspect that's been rather problematic for the mutable signs such as Sagittarius. With your sun, ascendant, or moon close to 9 to 12 degrees Sagittarius, you'll really have felt this aspect quite profoundly. It's the sort of thing, because it relates to 1st and 4th house concerns, that you'll feel very strongly. It can be as straightforward as problems with depression and grief, as well as anxiety and irrational fears. But in any case, you'll certainly feel it as a dissipation of energy, and you'll be struggling to be idealistic, to be optimistic. And there'll be long-standing problems and setbacks in this respect. It could be literal, such as problems with plumbing in the house and even health problems that are difficult to diagnose. So I think we'll all be very relieved when this aspect has made its final pass and the effects are no longer as pronounced. And of course, Saturn in the 10th house in itself is difficult because it brings more duties and responsibilities and rewards for past efforts. So you may either be doing very well for yourself or find that you've made a series of bad decisions that don't pan out so well for you, professionally speaking. So all in all, a difficult time. And of course, these aspects can be ways to illuminate ultimately, but in the here and now, it's quite difficult. The best advice I can give is to focus on practical realities and small steps that will make a tangible difference in your life. But anyway, moving along. On the 1st of August, Venus trines Uranus from the 9th to the 5th house. This is a positive aspect for love and relationships and new contacts, which could be with foreigners or teachers. It can also be teaching and travel, of course, and making new connections in this respect. So you'll be inspired around a course of travel, study, or teaching, so a nice aspect to start the month, especially since it corresponds with a trine from the Sun to Saturn, which is always good for ticking the right boxes and getting down to the tasks at hand. So very practical too. The new moon on the 2nd of August, like I said, is in the 9th house and with trines between the Sun and the Moon and Saturn. So this can show dealing with the practical details of life, just to facilitate inspiration. So taking care of the nitty-gritty details. It can show assistance from older people and even, some recognition for work that you've already done. So dealing with structure and limitations and responsibilities in a constructive way, so without that odious sense of ennui. Mars moves into Sagittarius on the 4th of August, and it's going to join Saturn in the 1st house. So it's still moving through its shadow period from its previous retrograde, but now in Sagittarius it does show an opening up of new goals and aspirations, and your drive will be feeling stronger. Unfortunately, because it's still moving to conjunct Saturn, there will be some obstacles in the way still. So a stop-start effect, a bit of frustration of ambition and drive, which will take off later, towards the end of the month when Mars does conjunct Saturn and finally moves past it and out of the shadow period. So use this time wisely to look over all the details of, projects that you want to become involved with, so that when the gates do open, you can charge ahead and not dissipate your energy on too many things. So in the meantime, decide what projects you want to focus on and where you want to commit your energy. Between the 5th and the 7th of August, Mercury will square Saturn from the 10th to the 1st house. This can be a little bit of a depressive aspect, but at the same time it's good for concentration and focus. So I would advise at this time where you can work alone, because you might not be feeling in the best of spirits, but you'll be very detailed focused and practical. So like I said, if you can work alone, then do. On the 6th of August, Venus squares Mars from the 10th to the 1st house. This can show tension in the office or in your career, and you may be inclined to undertake some impulsive actions. So try and find a productive outlet for this tension. It can show feelings of attraction, like I said, just friction in general, so try not to let it get the better of you. On the 7th of August, Mercury opposes Neptune, and we'll feel this about until the 8th of August. This is a bit problematic for clear communication because this won't be taking place. So this aspect shows confusion of mind and miscommunication. And so it's not a good time to sign business contracts or deals. And like I said, you would want to wait until this aspect passes before doing so. So, like I said, wait for the air to clear. On the 10th of August, Mercury trines Pluto. This will be in effect between the 9th and the 11th of the month. This is a great aspect, on the other hand, which does help you get to the bottom of problems. It's good for focus, research, probing view that gets to the bottom of things. So it can be very good for your professional reputation and getting your ideas out there. and it will help you find your voice, so to speak. So you'll have more resources and you'll be feeling more resourceful. So good for negotiation and bargaining and insights around any issue. On the 12th to the 14th, Venus squares Saturn from the 10th to the 1st. This can also have one feeling in a bit of a bad mood and, a bit disagreeable to other people. So again, the advice would be to work alone, because it can be constructive with dealing with details still, and I just mean in the sense of having a broad view of a project and dealing with the nitty-gritty. So rather not your finest hours. On the 16th of August, the Sun will trine Uranus from the 9th to the 5th house. This is a lovely aspect between the 9th and the 5th houses, so it can show you taking initiative on a creative project, which can be your own business, because the 5th house has to do with anything that we consider our baby, as it were. So you could just, think of new and inventive ways to kickstart a creative project. It could be in the form of teaching, or involve travel for that matter, and in that sense broadening your audience. So very good for inspiration and a new take on the old. So creativity, passion meets travel, learning. So a lovely aspect for stimulation, inspiration and creativity. On the 17th of August, Venus trines Pluto from the 10th to the 2nd. This is a good aspect if you want to buy something, so for financial acquisition. And it can show professional gains. And it will certainly have you feeling more confident and sure of yourself. And in that sense, your ability to interact with others will improve, and you'll be able to refine your professional relationships. So good for resources and finances, and for professional reputation and professional relationships. On the 18th of August, the full moon is in Aquarius in your 3rd house. As I said, this takes the focus from the 9th house to the 3rd house. And so there's that balancing of the big picture with daily life and routine. So you want to take your focus back to things that need to be done, attending to details, paperwork, and phone calls, errands, letters, that sort of thing. And so but with the trine from the moon to Uranus from the 3rd to the 5th, and the Sun and Uranus from the 9th to the 5th, it's the moon sextile Uranus, and the Sun trine Uranus. There'll be, again, opportunities to integrate creativity into your day-to-day affairs. So ways to improve communication, and so creativity in that respect. How can you change up your communication to make you more receptive to others, and how can you put a new spin on old ideas to make them more engaging? So also lovely aspects with the full moon, and helps bring it all together. On the 22nd of August, Mercury will conjunct Jupiter in the 10th house. This is a good aspect for business deals, negotiations, and so a good day to sign contracts, and good for cooperation in the workplace. So like I said, if you've got contracts to sign, this would be a good day. If there are important negotiations you want to undertake, it's also a good day for that, because this aspect will broaden your understanding of an issue, and you'll also have a handle on all the details. So very productive in that respect. On the 23rd of August, the Sun moves into Virgo and consequently into your 10th house. This brings the focus from the 9th to the 10th house. So it's things relating to your profession, career, the ways that you can receive honors and recognition. So, but we'll get to that with the forecast next month. But like I said, it's going to bring the focus on your career and put the spotlight on your career, as it were. On the 24th of August, Mars conjunct Saturn in the 1st house for you. So like I said, this has been a point of frustration, a way that you can't just get going. It's going to be frustrations and setbacks, obstacles, so a bit of a splatter effect. It can be a good aspect though, in terms of if you've taken the trouble to be really sure about an issue or a project that you want to get involved with. It can really make you dig your heels in and be very resourceful. So you'll have a lot of tenacity if you've gone through everything properly. So, but once Mars moves on from here, it will really free up drives and passions. So we'll be looking forward to that. On the 26th of August, Mars squares Neptune from the 1st to the 4th houses. This can show dissipation of energy, feeling, well, you just won't be feeling very happy about things, and perhaps you'll be unclear, or you'll be dealing with unclear people or even shady characters. So it can show a bit of frustration and tension in the home. So yeah, wait for this aspect to pass, because there are two good ones coming up right after. Between the 26th and the 29th, Venus will conjunct Jupiter in your 10th house, which is fantastic, because this aspect will be very strong in the 10th house. This will show professional popularity in general, recognition. There'll be a lot of good feeling generated around you, and you'll be generating, and you'll be feeling really good about yourself. So very positive, again, for, things regarding professional career stuff, like I said, again, good for business generally, because it will be a very positive, charming aspect for you. It's also, generally speaking, very good for celebrations and entertainment. So if you want to throw a party or entertain, this is the perfect time for it. So a lovely aspect in the 10th, between the 26th and the 29th of the month. On the 29th of August, Mercury will conjunct Venus, also in the 10th house. If you're in a situation where you need to ask for a favor from your boss, or in some sort of professional context, this is the day to do so. It's a very good aspect for communication. It keeps things light-hearted, and it makes you a lot more persuasive and charming. So also good for negotiations, and if you need to sell something or yourself, and generally speaking, good for sentiment and loving feelings. So on the whole, a good day for persuasive speech and sensitive communication, like love letters and words of love. And this will precede Mercury going retrograde for most of September, so we can discuss that in the next forecast. Anyway, thanks for tuning in.